Good evening, everyone. Welcome to our February Town Council meeting. We thank you so much for joining us. We are going to go ahead and get started. We are going to start with our invocation by Councilor Morgan.
Okay, if you would pray as you like. Dear Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this time together that we can gather in this place and deliberate the things that are important to this town. Grant us the wisdom and the courage to do those things that are right for all of our community members and that would be pleasing to you. Let us put aside any personal agendas or items that would not be pleasing and that would satisfy everything that is good for this community. Be with our mayor, our town manager, and all of his staff and all that are gathered here, and just let us go out and come back safely and do things throughout this week and until we gather again that would be pleasing to you. It's in your precious and holy name I pray. Amen.
Tonight, we are pleased to have students from Hodge Road Elementary School in attendance to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. Before they step up to the podium, I'd like to share a little bit about them and their career aspirations. Mariah Moore is 9 years old and she is in the 4th grade. She is part of the Spanish Dual Language Magnet program and would like to be a dancer, singer, or scientist. Madison Tyler is 10 years old and in the 5th grade. She would like to be a nurse or a lawyer. D-Ray Boyer is 10 years old and in the 5th grade. He is also part of the Spanish Dual Language Magnet program and would like to be a scientist. Kami Fani is 11 years old and in the 5th grade. She would like to be a nail tech or a professional dancer. Mauricio Torres Grimaldo is 11 years old and in the 5th grade. He is a member of the Safety Patrol and would like to follow in his older brother's footsteps and become an electrician. Akeisha Davis is 11 years old and in the 5th grade. She would like to be an artist or a singer. At this time, I invite these remarkable students up to the podium now to lead us in our Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you again so much for leading us in our Pledge of Allegiance, and thank you for sharing with us your future aspirations. We are wishing the best for you and love to see that in your future and to see where you go. So thank you for being here, and we're proud of you. Next, we will jump into the adoption of the agenda. Is there any changes to the agenda, questions or comments, or motion to adopt?
Motion to adopt.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Majority approves, motion carries. We will move with the agenda as is, starting with our public comment. Is there anyone here tonight who wishes to address the council? Just wanting to share a few things before you comment. Public comment is an opportunity for individuals or groups to bring potential topics of interest to the council's attention. It is important to note that it is not a discussion. The council will receive information and take it under advisement. Respectful communication is expected and appreciated. For anyone speaking tonight, please be sure to have signed up at the speaker sheet at the entry table. Comments are limited to 3 minutes, and we do have a timer at the end of this podium that will indicate when the time has ended. Large groups are asked to designate a spokesperson, and when at the podium, please be sure to state your name and address for the record. So if we have anyone.
Hi, my name is Cheyenne Hudson. My address is 161 D.A. King Drive, Willow Springs, North Carolina. I'm kind of here to come and talk about the Miss America organization. Through the Miss America organization, you have opportunities for scholarships if you win. The scholarships go to your college to get a better education, and you aren't so far in debt. You also have a community service initiative. And for my community service initiative, it is Different Minds, One World, promoting autism acceptance. This community service was started because of my little sister, who was diagnosed with autism about 2 years ago. I saw how much of an impact it had in her life, and I felt like I needed to be able to change something. I now am having a fundraiser at Dixon Road Elementary for the special education program, and I plan to do more fundraisers. I'm also going to be at a car show in May for raising money for Hilltop and their special education and being able to have more. I'm pretty sure last year they raised about $25,000 just to have a sensory room within their home. And I continue to work throughout this community. And I would also like to say that, sorry, but Miss Wake County was not able to make it. She is under the weather. Her name is Gianna Buff, and thank you for having me.
Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you for sharing more about yourself and more about your giving back to the community, and wishing you the best going forward. Is there anyone else here tonight who wishes to speak at this time? If so, you may come forward. If not, we'll bring it back to the council for any reports on citizens' inquiries.
Mayor, I just had one. I forwarded it to staff. Someone was making a comment about seemingly an increase in yard signs and sort of the temporary signs that you see along the right-of-way and different locations. And staff said that they are diligently picking them up as fast as they can, and they keep reappearing. So anyway, that comment has been forwarded to staff, and we may just want to think about it moving forward, that as we continue to grow, that may be an item that we may want to address with more budget or something. So just they'll handle it as best they can, but that item's been forwarded.
Thank you. Anyone else? I do want to share, I did have someone reach out to me, just letting me know that there was an issue in Planners Walk. Looked like there was an issue with some beavers. And so I know we handed that over to staff. Staff was able to help, and I believe that we've gotten that issue resolved at this time. So if anybody else had been reached out to, we've been able to resolve that. Next, we will move to the consent agenda. Are there any questions or comments about the consent agenda, or also motion to adopt?
There are no questions or comments, I'll move for adoption of the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Majority approves. Motion carries. We'll move to our public hearings. First on the list is AN-8-25, 9000 Horton Mill Drive. Mr. Smith.
Thank you, Mayor Day. Good evening, Council. First public hearing item tonight is annexation AN-8-25, which is a voluntary annexation for the property located at 9000 Horton Mill Drive. Again, this is a voluntary petition. It's a contiguous annexation. The subject property is approximately 2 acres in size, slightly over that. Currently, the property is undeveloped and vacant. However, the property owner is interested in building a single-family home and a detached garage on the subject property. Last month, at the end of last month, the property owner went before the Board of Adjustment to request a variance to allow for a residential driveway along Old Knight Road extension, which is currently being constructed by the Weldon neighborhood right to the west of the property. So the Board of Adjustment did grant that variance, allowing a residential driveway on that future road, allowing direct access for services. Here is a site plan that was included in the variance packet. It has not been reviewed for the building permit. This is more just to show the general location of the driveway on that Old Knight Road extension. And then here is the actual annexation plat. All this is included in your packet. If you want to look at it a little bit closer, happy to answer any questions regarding it. However, just to recap, this is a voluntary annexation. The town clerk has certified the petition to allow us to move forward, and council at the January 21st meeting adopted a resolution to set this public hearing, again, to hold this. Staff has also met all legal requirements for public advertisement. Since this was just for a single parcel and a single family home, staff generally doesn't conduct the full cost benefit analysis that we typically do for larger neighborhoods. However, based on the estimated value of the home, we would expect about $4,400 being generated for revenue for the town. Another thing to know, like I mentioned, Old Knight Road extension is currently under construction with the Weldon neighborhood. So with the residential driveway, town services will already be navigating that roadway and will be able to pick up and serve this property if it were to be annexed into town limits. And with that, that concludes my presentation. Always happy to answer any questions, but after receiving public comments, my recommendation to make a motion to close the public hearing and adopt ordinance number 260218-004, effectively annexing the area. Thank you.
All right. Thank you. So we'll bring it to council. Any questions or comments?
So, question, can you go back to the first map, I think it was? Yeah, right there. So the orientation of this property will now be flipped from the current orientation of properties within that Horton cul-de-sac area?
Yes, that's correct. And whenever the variance was approved, since the driveway will be on that west side, the lot really became a double frontage lot, so it has 2 front yards. So, it will have, a front yard on the Horton Mill Drive side, but also the main access driveway would be on the west side of the property to Old Knight Road extension.
And with that the dual driveway aspect, that's where we're saying that town services there would not be an impediment in terms of town services because we already will be having them coming out across the upcoming road of
Old Knight Road extension.
Yeah.
That's correct.
Okay, thank you.
I attended the Board of Adjustments meeting where they talked through the driveways and stuff like that. There was an extensive presentation about the property, and I feel like I became an expert on it in the one meeting. So one of the things that confused them on the next slide, was that it looks like they're proposing 2 driveways, but they're only proposing 1. So they were showing what the driveway would look like if they had to connect it into the neighborhood. And there's a blue line stream that runs through there, through the property between them and Horton's Mill. So they're not connecting into the neighborhood at all at this point in an official way.
All right, thank you for that. Any others? All right. Thank you, Mr. Smith. This is a public hearing item, so at this time, we will open the floor for public comment. Is there anyone here tonight that wishes to speak on this item? If so, you may come forward at this time. All right. If not, I'll bring it back to the council. Any final comments, or do we have a motion?
Seeing as how Councilman McDonald is an expert on everything, I don't know why he had to point this out. I will make a motion to close the public hearing, adopt ordinance 26-02-18-004, effectively annexing the area.
I will expertly second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Majority approves. Motion carries. We'll move to our next one on the agenda, AN-1-26, Brio Village. Also, Mr. Lewis.
Thank you, Mayor, and good evening, Mayor and Council. I am here to present the next annexation public hearing, which is for Brio Village. This is a voluntary petition as well. It's non-contiguous. It's for about 184 acres south of Buffalo Road and west of Lucas Road, where that assemblage is mostly agricultural or undeveloped, and there is a single-family development or single-family home on one of those lots. In July of 2022, the Brio Village, the age-restricted development of about 500 lots, was approved. In December of last year, the development agreement was approved for that development as well. Construction drawings, engineering approval, and we would expect the first phases of construction to begin later this spring or summer. Here's a look at the master plan. Highlighted here is phase 1, and the grayed out sections are phase 2. And a look at the annexation plat as well. As I mentioned, it's a voluntary petition. It's not non-contiguous, so it's not contiguous with the main or primary portion of Knightdale. But the town clerk did certify the petition, and at last month's meeting, a resolution was adopted to set the public hearing for this evening. We provided a full cost-benefit analysis in the staff report, and I'm happy to answer any questions about that. 2 things that I will note here is when we looked at comparable age-restricted developments in Wake County and compared those to non-age-restricted developments in that same community, those age-restricted developments typically had a higher value. That tax rate, the tax value was higher for the age-restricted developments than non-age-restricted. So that's what we kind of see here is a little bit higher of a property tax revenue than a single-family development of comparable size that's not age-restricted. And the Parks and Recreation expenditures are also, or I should note the Park and Recreation expenditures are lower because this development would only be serving senior residents, so no youth programs or activities would be impacted by this development. Some other considerations to highlight: there is extensive public greenways that are being built with this development that would provide future connections. There is a future commercial parcel along Buffalo Road that's not included, it's not being annexed now, and it wasn't included in the cost-benefit analysis on Buffalo Road, so that would be a future annexation when that site is developed. Because this is an age-restricted development, the TIA that was conducted with the zoning map amendment in 2022 showed a lower than average generation than a traditional single-family neighborhood. And this developer is making significant improvements along Buffalo Road from this site all the way to the interchange with I-540. And it's not just this developer, but a lot of developers are actively working on making those improvements now. So I'm happy to answer any questions about the development, the cost-benefit analysis, but our recommendation would be to close the public hearing and adopt ordinance 26-18-5 to annex the area.
All right, thank you so much. Bringing that to council. Any questions? Comments? All right. Thank you, Mr. Lewis. This is a public hearing item. At this time, I will open the floor for public comment. Is there anyone here tonight who wishes to speak on this item? If so, you may come forward at this time. All right. If not, I'll bring it back to council for any last questions, comments, or motion on this public hearing item.
With that said, or not said, I make a motion to close the public hearing and adopt the ordinance number 26-02-18-005, effectively annexing the area.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Majority approves. Motion carries. We'll move to our third AN-2-26 Croom property. Mr. Lewis.
Great. Thank you again. So just an overview of this public hearing item. This is for the 33-acre parcel at the corner of Marks Creek Road and Knightdale Eagle Rock Road in Knightdale's eastern jurisdiction. It's currently vacant, formerly a farmstead, and it's currently zoned rural transition. The town assumed ownership in July of 2024, and it is a future town park facility. This is here's a look at the annexation plats. This is a town-initiated non-contiguous annexation, and last month a public hearing was set with the adoption of the resolution in January. A cost-benefit analysis was not conducted for this annexation, similar to what Gideon mentioned, but again, this is a future park facility. And I'm happy to answer any questions about that at this point, but our recommendation would be to close the public hearing and adopt ordinance 26-18-6 to annex the area.
All right. Thank you again. Questions or comments from council? All right. Thank you. Once again, this is a public hearing. At this time, I will open the floor for public comment. If there's anyone here tonight who wishes to speak on this item, you may come forward at this time. All right. If not, I'll bring it back to council.
All right, if there's no discussion, I will motion that we close the public hearing, adopt ordinance 26-02-18006, effectively annexing the area.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Majority approves. Motion carries. Our last public hearing item for the evening, installment financing agreement. Mr. Morrison.
Good evening, Mayor and Council. I'm standing here on behalf of our Finance Director, Jessica Rim, who is attending our Investment Association conference this week. And so this public hearing is for the financing of the lofts as well as some fire apparatus. So we would have the public hearing as is required by the general statute if we are purchasing real property. And so we'll ask that we would open the public hearing, and then after the public hearing has been closed, we would like to get approval of a resolution that needs to be submitted to authorize town staff to begin negotiations for the debt that's going to be issued for this financing. And so you recall we had the opportunity that arose to purchase the Lofts building, which housed our town finance as well as the Human Resources Department. There's also currently around 2,600 square footage of vacant space in that building also. We intend to fund this with the issuance of a installment financing up to $7.7 million. We look to split this financing because we're mixing it, and it's going to have the building as well as the fire apparatus. And so we're looking to split this 20-year life for the building and 10-year for the fire engines that we have. So there are two fire pumper trucks as well as a tractor truck. And then in addition to that, you will have the equipment that goes on the truck. And so that will be financed over 10 years, whereas the building will be financed over the 20-year cycle. We are required to, again, hold this public hearing because of the real property purchase. Here you have the breakdown of the financing. And so we will be spending roughly $10.7 million total. Again, this is for 2 fire engines, the fire equipment that goes on those engines, as well as the purchase of the building for, that we title the Lofts. And then that debt issuance cost is an estimate. I'm pretty certain, we feel highly certain that that's going to come in a lot lower than what we have projected there, but that's just an estimation to ensure that we have the coverage. And then the other represents the cost for the appraisal of the building. Next, we have the calendar. So today we will seek to hold the public hearing as well as to obtain council's approval for the resolution. Next on the calendar would be to make the submission to the Joint Legislative Committee, LGC application. There's a process that we have to go through, so we will go through each one of those steps. We are on the calendar for LGC review and approval. April the 9th. They had changed that date. It's normally the first Tuesday of the month, and they changed it for the month of April, so it's on the 9th with a projected time frame of April the 14th for closing the actual loan. And so with that, I'd ask that we would open the public hearing, and then close it after hearing any comments, and then once the public hearing's been closed, ask for the adoption of the resolution.
All right. Thank you so much. Before we open it up, is there any questions or comments from council? Good. Thank you so much. Once again, this is a public hearing item, so I'll open the floor for public comment. Is there anyone here tonight who wishes to speak on this item? If so, you may come forward at this time. All right. If not, then I will bring it back to the council. Any final comments, questions, or may I have a motion?
I make a motion to close the public hearing after having received no comments. Adopt resolution 2602-18002.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Majority approves. Motion carries. We'll move to old business, ZTA-2-25, stormwater update. Mr. Archer.
Good evening, Mayor, members of council. Before you again tonight is ZTA 225, which obviously includes some updates related to stormwater. If you recall, this was first presented at the joint public hearing on January 15th of this year. Following that, we presented it to the Land Use Review Board on February 9th for recommendation, which brings us to tonight, our final decision at this town council meeting. This application is proposing to amend Chapter 9.4 to comply with new MS4 permit requirements specifically related to construction site operators and how they manage waste. Chapter 9 is the town's environmental protection standards. And the proposal included in this with this application is to consolidate the current list of illicit discharges and specify development-related materials such as discarded building materials, concrete truck wash water, and sanitary waste as part of our illicit discharge ordinance. This would allow us to enforce that ordinance on active construction sites, which has been a pain point for us currently. During that public hearing on January 15th, there were no comments received. However, boards did discuss the reporting and response process associated with this new implementation. At the Land Use Review Board, they unanimously recommended approval. As you know, General Statute 160D requires the governing board to adopt a statement describing consistency with an adopted comprehensive plan and why the board considers the action to be reasonable and in the public interest. That recommended advisory statement is as follows. The proposed zoning text amendment is consistent with the Knightdale Next Version 2 2035 Comprehensive Plan, which serves as the foundation for determining effective public policy that provides an ongoing framework for informed and directed public investment in private development. Further, it is reasonable and in the public interest as it aligns to the town's Unified Development Ordinance with North Carolina state regulations and clarifies environmental development regulations for property owners and developers. So, with that, I'm happy to answer any questions that you guys may have, but staff's recommendation at this point would be to approve ZTA 225, adopt the advisory statement of plan consistency, and adopt ordinance 2602180007.
All right, thank you so much. Any questions, comments?
So what would the effective date of this policy go into where you could actually sort of start checking that people are in compliance?
Sure. So it would immediately follow this meeting and adoption of this ordinance. However, we do have a phased plan to implement this, so we have some education.
Well, from a transportation standpoint, at Campo, just before this meeting earlier tonight, thankfully, we approved as part of a larger package, but 2 studies for Knightdale Boulevard and Smithfield Road, 2 of the areas along town that we hear a lot of concerns about congestion and safety. So the purpose of those 2 studies, led by some good folks, engineers and planners, would be to look at congestion along both of those corridors. Now, the part of Smithfield Road I'm talking about is from I-87 south to Pool Road, and looking at both congestion, ways to alleviate congestion, maybe through different configurations, and also safety improvements. We hear a lot of people here that come and comment about Smithfield Road, which is until recently outside of our jurisdiction, and only part of it is we can even do anything about. But the safety on that road, trying to make left turns and everything. So I'm very appreciative of staff putting together a very good recommendation to get those 2 approved. So that work will start soon. Obviously, I have to pick who's going to do the work and really sort of finalize the scope of when that work is. But looking forward to updates coming out of that plan. And then the other one that I had as 540, thankfully we'll be able to get on 540 before too long and get to I-40 a little quicker. But as part of that project, the Complete 540 project, there's going to be some nightly road closures, I understand, March 9th and 16th at I-87, right where it sort of intersects with the 540 now. And so I'm assuming, and I actually forwarded an email to make sure that information has been passed along to our communication staff, so folks here should know it. But usually those are at nighttime, and they're well in advance. But anyway, that's what I have on the transportation front for now.
Councilman Morgan, on those corridor studies, are they fully comprehensive corridor studies where they're looking at highest and best uses of available land options, or is it just primarily traffic impact and mobility?
It's primarily, traffic. It's also contemplating what, do we have the right, we've talked about the cross-section that we envisioned for like BRT, bus rapid transit-oriented development. I think, we can help shape that a little bit, but it's going to look primarily at transportation and mobility along those corridors, but it does contemplate the land uses that are associated with it. not necessarily to make a recommendation about the type of land use, but, you know, there'll be some language in there about the type of land uses that may be best suited for along that corridor.
Thank you for that update. Any others?
Mayor, I do want to say that I had attended our alert meeting, and it was great information as we had seen in terms of stormwater, but I did also want to mention that Alan Smith, who was he served 3 terms on LURB, he had ended his term, and he had read such a heartfelt thank you to the town for all his opportunity to serve, and I was really moved by that, and I just wanted to make mention that it really just showed the essence why people want to serve and volunteer. It was just really a lot for me to just witness how sincere he was about being a part of the future of Knightdale.
Thank you for sharing that. Any additional?
I gave my update on the Board of Adjustments meeting during the public hearing.
Thank you. All right. If none others, then we have come to the end of our meeting. So may I have a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Majority approves. Motion carries. We stand adjourned. Thank you all for joining us for our meeting. We'll see you next time.